My success rate is only 1%. You may not look at the world that critically, how unique we are, wanting to do it better than before. Please do not assume other people's intentions. Patiala 2050.
Thank you for joining me in this conversation. As I was researching, I got to know a lot about you, about your opinions, and I really admire you for your qualities. Like last time we had an event at the Center for Training and Development about sustainability, and you said that you will install specially designed trash bins throughout campus, and you did that. That has really stuck out to me.
Thank you. Don't forget it. A dream and an intention is not always translated into action, but the starting point is a dream and an intention. And when people ask me, my success rate is only 1%. 100 things I intend to do, but at least one we will be able to do. But the idea is at least that one is one we are happy with. So it's not that I can whatever I think and the dream I'm able to do. Not successful, but I'm trying.
To start with, can you share a bit about your early life, about your diverse education background, and how that has shaped you as a person?
I don't know whether my education shaped me or whether where I was born. I was born into a middle class. Depending on how you look at lower middle class, upper middle class, but mostly a middle class family. My father was a regular army Jawan on a short service commission. I think he served for 15 years or something. But I still remember my father telling me that when you grow up, you should be a scientist. I don't think at that time neither my father nor I didn't know the difference between a scientist and a researcher. A scientist is one who studies science and who is educated in science. So anyone with a science degree could be called a scientist. A researcher is more a profession of asking interesting questions and finding answers to those answers we have never gotten, or finding and discovering. Not discovering something totally fantastic, but understanding, making our understanding better. So that asking a research question and thinking about methods to answer that question, that's a researcher. So whatever as a little child I've understood about science, so I also have this idea that I need to study science, and so I did study science. I left India with a master's degree in metallurgical engineering. My first stop was at the University of Twente in the Netherlands. I studied materials engineering. At that time, nanostructured materials, nanotechnology was kind of taking shape. That was my first PhD from the University of Twente. And I did one more PhD from the University of Tokyo, so mostly in chemical engineering, but the materials I worked were similar, but from the chemical engineering faculty. That's a Doctor of Engineering. During that time, between my first and second PhD, I also completed an MBA from Heriot-Watt University in Scotland. So that's kind of my education. Of course, I enjoyed what I studied. But as an engineer, you may not look at the world that critically. So the way I started looking at the world and started looking at my role in the society, really, critically thinking about it started after I moved on from engineering to started reading and learning anything and everything I could get hold. So I started studying psychology, especially in the broader field of psychology. Evolutionary psychology attracted my attention. So whenever we think about psychology more from a clinical point of view, we talk about what is wrong with people. Okay, how do we treat them? How do we help? But then in the last 50 years, there was also a movement called positive psychology. It's not only look at what is wrong with people, how do we make lives better? Nothing wrong, but more enriching, more interesting, more happier. And we also talk about individual difference, how unique we are. Of course, all of us are unique, but more than our uniqueness, we are all similar too. So evolutionary psychology gave me that understanding. I call not only our similarity, the fundamental human condition. Most of what we do is not because of our uniqueness, but because of our similarity. We get up in the morning, we have breakfast. That is not because of our uniqueness, because of our similarity, we need food. And probably one would like a particular food versus that could be uniqueness, but we all want to have friends and we emotionally connect to our family and our friends. It's not because of our uniqueness, but because of similarity. All right. We all need a bit of exercise to keep healthy. That's also not because of our uniqueness, because of our similarity. So evolutionary psychology and evolutionary biology gave me that understanding of human similarity, and it also made me think about the fundamental human condition. What is that fundamental human condition? We are good and not so good at the same time. We can be very compassionate. In some cases, we can give our lives to, you see a little child drowning. Most of us would jump in and save the child, risking our life. So we can be that compassionate. Or, we are also capable of, in a battlefield, killing our enemies without thinking. The morality and ethics of those acts are to be, it's a big topic of discussion. But we are a very interesting mix of good and not so good. That is fundamental human condition. So our ancestors, I'm talking about tens of thousands of years ago, we are here because they survived and reproduced. You go generations back, we are here. Our ancestors survived. That's why we are here. And reproduced. That's why we are here. Not just survived. Maybe some of our uncles and aunts survived, but did not reproduce. But our ancestors survived and reproduced. So that the fundamental human condition is we get selected for survival and reproduction. The selection, natural selection, could be at individual level, at group level. I think those are quite complex, and still we discuss and research and try to understand more and more. Anyway, so your question, I've kind of elaborated it too much. As an engineer, I started learning about things other than engineering, and that was the time I started thinking about my role in society. And I always remember, and generally I also talk to my colleagues and my students, that why are we here? The answer is to do everything good for those people who may not be asking that question, why are we here? So what do we do every day? We learn, we create, and we help. We learn, we create, and help. Learning and creating and helping. And interestingly, most of what we do is not totally for yourself. In some way or other, for money or for not for money or for prestige or for fame or whatever it is, mostly the products and artifacts and services you produce, most of it is for others. Think about in the morning, your parents cooking if they are cooking. So rarely they cook for themselves, they cook for everybody at home. For example, we are talking. In some sense, of course, I'm satisfied that I'm talking to you, but this conversation is most probably going to be consumed by more than two people. So when we think about whatever we do, this idea of excellence is quite useful. What is the idea of excellence? It is the temperament of getting into this journey of wanting to do it better than before. Wanting to do it better than before for whom? For others. That's the idea of excellence. That's why we call empathy is the mother of excellence.
How has been your experience as a director of Thapar University?
This is a question. This is not a surprising question. This is a question I think about it at least multiple times every day. I don't consider this position as something I have earned. I did not earn. I don't consider this position as something I deserve. I don't think I deserve. There are probably hundreds more who would deserve this position. And there are always hundreds more who would do a much better job than I do. I don't think I'm the best or the optimum for this position. I don't even define this as a position. I consider this as an opportunity. Opportunity to serve. So my answer to your question is, whether it's today or after 4 years, I'll be doing something else. I will always look for an opportunity to serve. Even when you think about an opportunity to serve, there is some degree of narcissism in that. That means you believe that you are capable of serving. So I know, but this is what I think. I don't consider this as a position of power or authority. Some degree of power is needed to get things done, but minimal.
How was your student life? Any story you want to share? An interesting incident?
I don't think I was a stereotypical good student, even though at least at my MTech level from IIT Kharagpur, I stood first. I stood first because I was actually second. The guy was really super brilliant guy. He got a very nice job and he left before completing the degree. That's why I've become first. My grade point average was 9.29 out of 10. I think his was probably 9.8 or something, but he left and I've become... but before that, I don't think I've ever been, before my master's degree, I've ever been a stereotypical good student. But I was always passionate about whatever little I was learning. Whatever little I was learning, I wanted to learn very, very well. I also wanted to teach from very early on. I still remember during my undergraduate days, when I still remember the name of the professor, Professor Guha. He was teaching thermodynamics, and I studied thermodynamics before the class, and then I was discussing with him. He said, "Why don't you teach this part of the subject yourself?" Then I taught in my class continuously. So this is probably the most interesting memory from my student days, teaching thermodynamics to my own classmates.
For the next question, what's the best piece of advice you have ever received in your life?
The best piece of advice I have ever received, probably, please do not assume other people's intentions. Please do not assume other people's intentions. That was the best advice I have received. Because if you're in trouble or if you don't like something that somebody has done, we have this tendency to jump into assuming that he's bad or she's bad, but he wanted to do this, she wanted to do that. So the best piece of advice was never assume other people's intentions. Most probably will be wrong.
I want to ask you about your vision for Thapar. As I know that you are really care about sustainability, to build sustainable infrastructure. So what's your vision about?
I have a dream, probably a foolish dream. I have a dream. I call that dream as Patiala 2050. Patiala 2050. Most probably I'll be dead. I think I'm going to be 62. Definitely I won't be here. But Patiala 2050 is to see Patiala as a green, clean, smart, sustainable city. And Thapar should be the nuclear of that. And nuclear is the starting point of any crystal to grow. So Thapar University TIIT campus should be the nuclear, and the dream is Patiala 2050, and probably Patiala could be a nuclear for the whole of Punjab. That's my dream. You will never know how this would shape. I have less than 4 years to at least start with the initial ideas.
The new generation will definitely achieve it, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And
Yeah. Thank you.
thank you very much.
All the best. All the best. Thank you. Talk to you again soon.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining.